Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back, my students. Now we are going to complete what we started in our last lesson. If you recall that we started with the expansion of the units. So we're going to just go back. We did mention something about our units, and if you remember that we just applied some of the grammatical structures that we studied within Unit 5 and Unit 6, and we're going to complete and to see what we have more. Now completing with our expansion of the units, we have our objectives to apply different grammatical structures, so we are still in grammar in our pages, and we have here also to track learning progress. So this is a chance for you just to revise and recall what you studied throughout the semester, and just go back to focus on the different parts or the things that you must concentrate on for more. So we are going to see what we have here in our language review. We have on page number 126. Now we're going to start with a new page, a new exercise. We have here E. Complete each sentence with, you can see that we have here might have, could have, must have, should have, or was and were supposed to. Now these are different structures that we did study throughout the semester. Now for some items more than one modal is used. So here I want to focus on the word modal, if you remember. Now what are modals? What did we study about modals here in our semester? Now just to recall that we have here, these are the auxiliary verbs that I mentioned before, and also some of these auxiliary verbs, they are called modals. So as we say that we have here is, are, and am, they are verb to be. We have here the perfect tense in has, have, and has, have, and had, actually. And we have here different modals that we can see, like must, will, would, can, could, and many more. So our focus is going to be on the modals that I have put in a box for you, just to make them clear in front of you when we apply them in our sentences. We have number one. Now in number one, you can see that there are two blanks, so we're going to use two. So let's just read the sentence before. He, blank, enjoyed the game if he had gone with them, but then again, he, blank, been bored. So we have the choices or the options that we have: might have, could have, must have, should have, or was and were supposed to. And of course there is different meaning when you see that we have the word must. Must is used in a sentence that gives a totally different meaning from using can or could, for example. So going back to our example in the book, we have here he, or in the sentence in the book, yes, he might have. So this is a possibility. He might have enjoyed the game if he had gone with them, but then again, he, yes, we have here might have been bored. Now you can see that here we have another option that can be given. So if you have chosen to say could have, also this is correct. And also in the second part, yes, we have here could have can be also used. Now this is a chance just to be a little bit creative in your sentences and not just repeat the same verb. So you can say, for example, he could have enjoyed the game with them, but then again he might have been bored, or the opposite. Moving on to the second sentence, you, blank, told us that you needed a place to stay. There's plenty of room in our apartment. Now we have here the option, you should have told us we have place in our apartment. So this is a very important note, that you must read the complete sentence to the very end before choosing your answer. Now we have number three, Luke. Luke was really hoping to get the job. He been disappointed when they gave it to someone else. So he was looking forward, he was hoping to get the job. So when they gave the job to someone else, he, yes, must have. So this is something that is determined. We have in the fourth sentence, she, blank, not, blank, So here, there's a new lesson, or just to recall that sometimes you can divide between the two words by using negative. Said she preferred Maria's hair long. I think she hurt her feelings. So from the ending of the sentence, I think she hurt her feelings. What can we say? Now we can say that she should not have said she preferred Maria's hair long. We have number 5. Where were you on Saturday? You blank help clean the apartment. So I'm asking about your absence because there was something that you were, very clearly we can say that you were supposed to clean the apartment. Number 6, if your dinner was cold, you blank ask the waiter to heat it up. So if you have something cold, there was a chance for you to ask the waiter to heat it. So we can say, for example, here that you should have asked, or we can say you could have asked the waiter. Moving on, we have number 7. The streets are all wet. It blank rained last night. So I am sure, or I am determined that something happened. So it must have rained last night. Number 8, John graduated in June, but he decided to take a year off. So there was a possibility for him to graduate in June, but he decided to alter or change his plan. So we can say that he was supposed to graduate in June. Moving on to another exercise that we have here on page number 126, we have B. Now, we have the second, or actually F in the book, but it is our second exercise for the lesson. We have here to join each set of words together to form a sentence. Now you can see that there are different words or phrases that we have here. Now we have to use either so, such, so many, so much, so little, so few, that. Now, do you recall studying these parts or the grammatical structures for these words? Now, just to recall what we have here, they are called intensifiers. Do you remember intensifiers and what do they do? What is their role? Now, an intensifier is a word that strengthens or weakens another word. So they give you some kind of strength to the sentence, or it can be the opposite. For example, now in the book, you are asked to use these intensifiers in the sentence and of course to form a complete sentence. You can see that they are divided. We have here the adhesive is strong. It stuck my fingers together. So we have here 2 parts. We're going to fill these parts with the correct intensifier. So here the fingers are stuck together. We have here, we're going to say that the adhesive is so strong that it stuck my fingers together. So we use here the word or the intensifier so. Now we're going to start with number 1. Also, we have here the intensifiers. They are in the box in front of you just to make it easier for you to choose. Number 1, the noise was startling. It made us jump. Now here it depends on your choice and how you want to form your sentence. So we have here, we can say, the noise was so startling that it made us jump. We have number 2. They are good friends. I assumed they would go to the same university. So what do you think? What is the correct intensifier to use here? We have here the sentence. They are such good friends. So we have here the word such. Such good friends that I assumed that they would go to the same university. Number 3. I had interest in the documentary. I fell asleep halfway through it. Have you ever felt bored, or you felt that you have lost your interest, that you fell asleep? So here we can say, in this example, I had so little interest. So here there is something that weakens the sentence. We have your little interest in the documentary, that I fell asleep through it. Number 4. People were outraged by the radio announcer's comments. His show was cancelled. Now, do you recall the meaning of the word outrage when we say that you are very angry with something? Now, here, people were so outraged by the radio announcer's comments that his show was cancelled. So you can see that in all these sentences we have here that is in the second part, and we choose the first part or the intensifier based on the meaning of the sentence. We have number 5. He got disoriented driving in the city. He had to use Google Maps to find his way home. So here we can say, for example, he got so disoriented driving in the city that he had to use Google Maps to find his way home. Here we have he is taking classes this semester. He has time to work 2 jobs. Now we can say in this sentence, he is taking so few classes. So few classes this semester that he has time to work 2 jobs. Number 7, we have the sentence. It was a violent storm. It snapped most of the branches on that tree. So we have something that is very strong or violent. We can say it was such a violent storm, or so we have your, you can choose another sentence, but you can just rearrange the sentence. Here we have here, it was such a violent storm that it snapped most of the branches on that tree. Number 8, she is an absent-minded person. She forgot her dental appointment. So we can use a simple word here. We can say, for example, she is such an absent-minded person that she forgot her dental appointment. Number 9, the accident did damage to the car. It's not even worth fixing. So something that is very damaged, or in another word, we can say the accident did so much damage to the car that it's not even worth fixing. Coming to the last one, you can see that we have here, there were people ahead of us in line. It took an hour to get into the museum. Now we have here, there were so many people, which is repeated. We have the same structure using that we have here so many people ahead of us in line that it took an hour to get into the museum. Now we have completed the 10 sentences that we have. We're going to move on to the second page that we have here, 127. Now we have exercise G. Now going back to the simple structure that we did apply in our last lesson, we have here using also but and plus an auxiliary verb. So going back to the beginning of the exercise, we have here to use the words to write sentences with either both connectors, and we have here the auxiliary verb. Now we have here, for example, ice cream is made from milk or butter. Now, just to see here, I have this picture. I want you just to think here, what is the relation or what is the connection? Now, I did mention the basic structure that we are going to follow in the last lesson. We did study throughout the semester the structure. So here, just to remind you, I gave you just a hint. What is the basic point of using the auxiliary verb? Now, just imagine that your sentence is like that you are walking a path. Now, at the very end of your path, we have the auxiliary. So here, what is the hint? The hint is going to be using the auxiliary verb at the very end of the sentence. So we are going to see the example. Ice cream is made from milk and butter is too. So we can see that we have here the verb is, and we have here too at the very end of the sentence. Yes, we're going to start. Now note that you're going to just use either but or and in the sentences, but you're going to see what we're going to change. So gold is a kind of metal, silver. So we can see that we have here the two words. We have gold and silver. What can you say about the two substances here? We have here gold is a kind of metal and silver is too. So this is very similar to the sentence that we took in the example. We have number 2, shoes are worn on the feet, gloves. So we can say that there's something about shoes, and we have here gloves. Are they the same? So here we have something different. Shoes are worn on the feet, but gloves aren't. So we have here the auxiliary verb aren't. We have number 3, alligators don't live in the desert, monkey. So as habitat here, we have here the desert. Do alligators live in them? Of course, we have here negative, and we have here monkeys. Have you ever seen monkeys living in deserts? So we can decide here which connector to use. We can say that. Now just to remember that we have here negative. So the sentence is going to be alligators don't live in the desert and monkeys don't either. So we used and either, and we have here the negative in don't. Now we have here the 3 following. Number 4, an uncle is a male relative, nephew. So do you know your relatives? We have here the aunt, the grandfather, grandmother, cousin, nephew, niece. Now what is the difference between these relatives? So we have here the uncle and we have here nephew. Are they similar to each other? Now you can say in this sentence, an uncle is a male relative and a nephew is too. Number 5, we have here ice is a form of water, steam. Now we do know the difference between ice and steam, and we have here the liquid water here. So are they similar, and what is the same about them? So we can say ice is a form of water and steam is too. Now in these two sentences you can see that we have positive meaning, and all of them we used here and plus 2 in the sentence. We have number 6. Elephants aren't, we had negative, aren't predatory animals, and deer. So what is in common between the two animals? We have here deer and elephants. And note that we have here negative. So how can we write the sentence? We can say, elephants aren't predatory animals and deer aren't either. So we have here the connector and using either plus the negative that is actually at the very beginning of the sentence. We come to the last group of examples here. We have here number 7, Kenya is an African country, Nigeria. So are they in the same continent? Here, this is a very easy example. Kenya is an African country and Nigeria is too. We have number 8, men often wear ties, women. Now, is it something common between women to wear ties? We can see that there is a difference here, so we can use men often wear ties, but, so this time we change the connector, but women don't. Coming to our last example here, apples aren't tropical fruits, cherries. So note that we have here the same thing. We have here aren't, which is negative at the very beginning of the sentence. So we're going to see that we have here apples aren't tropical fruits and cherries aren't either. So you can see that repetition here makes you practice more and apply the correct structure of the sentences. Now we have here also the last group here. So we have here number 11. Colombia is in South America, Canada. So what do you think? Is Canada in the same continent as Colombia? Is Canada in South America? So here we can say that we have here Colombia is in South America, but Canada isn't. We have here the auxiliary at the end. We have 11. Penguins can't fly, parrots. So what is in common between these two birds? Or actually, you can see what are the similarities and what are the differences and decide what do you want to write about your sentence. So here we can write, penguins can't fly, but parrots can. So here there is something different between them. The last example, the United States doesn't have a royal family, England. So what is different between the United States and England? And here there is something mentioned about the royal family. So we have here the United States doesn't have a royal family, but England does. Now, we have completed our exercise, coming to the last exercise in the expansion for the day. So we have here also on page number 127, we have your H. Complete each sentence with a participle phrase and an idea of your own. So this is a very simple exercise. You can apply whatever sentence that you like or you choose, but put in mind that you have to write a participle phrase. So just to remind you, what is a participle phrase? We have here, it is a group of words containing a participle. Remember what we studied in our semester. Also followed by modifier and pronoun or noun phrases. They act, just to remind you, they act and function like an adjective. They provide extra information too. Now you need a comma after a participle phrase if it comes at the beginning of a sentence, so like what we applied before in our examples. Here you can see that after spending the day, this is a participle phrase, we have here spending the day at the beach, he was very sunburned. So let's apply within the examples that we have here. You can see we have the most important thing is to use a participle phrase. While blank, I had the most exhilarating feeling. So not that we are going to use the gerund here. We have here, or the participle phrase. Now we can say, while skiing all day. Number 2, after blank, she didn't feel very well. So how can you apply the participle phrase? After, she doesn't feel well. She has pain in her stomach, or she has a stomach ache. We can say that after eating 3 pieces of cake, for example. You can say after eating junk food or eating all day. So it's different as you choose. Number 3, before he was nervous. Now there is a hint for you in the picture here. We can say before taking the test, he was nervous, and while blank, Paul felt completely relaxed. So also I gave you a hint here. For example, we can say while giving his speech, he felt relaxed. Moving on. We have our last part. We have number 5, after. Her English was much improved. So after what? We can say after taking the class or after studying the class. So here the most important thing is to use the participle. We have number 6, before blank, we always make sure the doors are locked. So before what? Now usually before leaving the house, we make sure that our doors are locked. So we have completed our exercises here. We have our outline of the day. We can see that we apply in different structures that we studied throughout the units. Our outline is to revise grammatical forms studied throughout the units, apply grammatical structures, and complete exercise and tasks in the expansion. We are going to continue and follow up with more exercises, inshallah, so be ready.